everyone. Good evening. You are welcome to another exciting and expository session of Fatherhood Unleashed. Thank you so much for staying with us from when this program began yesterday. Thank you. This one is specially curated for the fathers because we do so much for the mothers. You know, we have this meeting, we have that meeting. We are ever, upskilling our parenting knowledge. And I just thought to put this together for the fathers as well. From yesterday, it's been so insightful, so expository, so many gems, that we've gotten from the sessions. The speakers have been all amazing and they have spoken to our hearts. They have shared their personal experiences, relatable stories, and it has just been a great time of learning. Tonight, I have with us another outstanding speaker. He's a friend of the Winning in Parenting family. I believe you all know him because he's been at a number of our programs, and I'm just so excited that he's also here in this program dedicated to fathers. I have with us Mr. Oladapo Filani, and I'm going to read his profile very soon. Just once again, I want to, talk about this awareness that we need to keep creating. Fathers are not, they support, the fathers have to support the mothers. It's a two-way thing, but the fathers are not assistant parents. Fathers are also needed at the forefront. The impact of a father in a child's life is indelible. It is something that we need to be intentional about. It's not something that fathers should not be relegated to the background, because what they are bringing to the table is immense in a child's life. A child has to develop in a balanced way. And like the speaker in the last session said, there just needs to be this wholeness, this completeness, what the father brings, what the mother brings, come together to, nurture a wholesome child. And talking about fathers, it's not compulsory that, okay, this is the person who is the biological father of the child, and this is the person who should father the child. If it happens that the father is not available due to whatever circumstance it might be, just get a father figure, one with integrity for that child, because we cannot rule out the place of a father in a child's life. And I want to use this opportunity to also say thank you to everyone that has been with us from yesterday when this program started. And if you're watching either here on YouTube or our other platforms, please share the video so that more people can get connected to what we're about to hear. So I'm going to read the profile of our guest. He's here already so that I can bring him right on. Oladapo Filani is a John Maxwell certified independent coach, speaker, and trainer. He offers workshops, seminars, keynote speaking, and coaching in this capacity, aiding your personal and professional growth through study and practical application of proven leadership and self-development methods. Driven by his desire to live a life of purpose and commitment, to reach out and share insights on how he escaped the shackles of grief, and with the primary focus on thinking right and living right, Oladapo started a wellness and mindfulness platform called Team Absolute. Through this, he has coached clients through life transitions of personal loss, grief, and emotional pain and challenges. He has coached and motivated clients in their achievement of personal goals and objectives, harnessing the unlimited power of the mind, improving relationships, setting personal goals and priorities. He has also provided insights, suggestions, empowering ideas, and action steps for clients that aided them to think right, make positive decisions, and facilitate sustainable positive change. Oladapo Filani is married. He's a married father of four. He holds a first degree in petroleum engineering, an MBA in oil and gas management with over 21 years working experience in the oil and gas industry. My people, I bring to you Mr. Oladapo Filani. Thank you so much once again, sir, for being here with us.
Thanks a lot, Sandra, and good evening to everyone on the call. Uh, I think for me, every time someone reads my profile, I tell the person that the most important part of my profile is the fact that I'm a married, privileged father of four. Well, I think for
Yes.
me, the most important part of my life, and one thing that drives what I do on a day-to-day basis, because I have four kids, I have a wife, and I have four kids I'm responsible to by the day. And that for me, I see fatherhood as a privilege. And I think parenting as a whole, whether you're a mom or a dad, it's a privilege from God. It's something I'm deeply grateful to God for. I had a very good father growing up. I had a very loving father growing up. And that's left a lot of how like attributes of what it takes to be a good father in me. I had a very sacrificial dad and mom when I was growing up. So that for me is the most important bit of it. What I intend to share with us tonight, I'm going to give up my experience. I think the most recent one that sort of struck me was 2 days ago. Yes, I think it was yesterday morning. I have a 20-year-old daughter. Just a bit of introduction because all the profile doesn't. I have a 20-year-old daughter. I have an 18-year-old son. I have an 11-year-old daughter, and I have a 4-year-old son. So I have the different categories of children. And one thing I can tell you, the technique for relating to the 20-year-old is different from the one relating to my 18-year-old son, and it's different from my 11-year-old daughter and my 4-year-old son. So yesterday morning, I was dressed up. I came downstairs from my room, and I saw my 4-year-old son at the table, of course, having his breakfast. And he says, "Good morning, Dad. How's your night?" I said, "Okay." I said, "My night was good." I said, "Thanks for asking." I said, "You're welcome, Dad. Have a good day, and you're looking good." This is a 4-year-old son. And the thing is, what he said to me, it's something that I typically say to him every morning. So when I see him, "Did you sleep well?" Say, "Yes, I slept well." Okay. And he says, "Thank you." I say, "You're welcome." And one thing I picked from that is children do what we do, not what we say. This is a 4-year-old. I went out with him on Saturday, himself and my 11-year-old daughter in the car. And out of excitement, he said, "Oh my goodness, that was good." And I'm thinking, where did a 4-year-old boy learn, "Oh my goodness," from? So I start with that by saying, okay, as a father, your child, especially in the growing up age between age of 0 to 7, they pick our habits, they pick our words, okay? They pick what we say, they pick the appreciations we express to others or not, they pick the things we do in the course of the day on a day-to-day basis. So I'll start with, as a father, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your child to guard the words that you use. Words spoken by your tongue determine the direction of your life. To a large extent, words spoken to your child will determine the direction of the life of your child also. So you have to ensure that as a father, the first responsibility to you owe to yourself is to upgrade your vocabulary, upgrade the kind of words you use in the environment of the home, upgrade the kind of words you use on a day-to-day basis, because your children by default will pick the kind of vocabulary you use, and by default, that will shape the direction of their lives. So upgrade your words, guard the pathway into your ears and your mind, guard the kind of vocabulary you expose yourself to on a day-to-day basis, because after the abundance of the mind, the heart speaks. And whatever you say will give life to your family, will give life to your children, and also give direction to them. Secondly, one thing which I know as a dad, and I have to say this, they were in 2023. We've all gone through the COVID era. COVID is something that did a number to all of us. The demands of fatherhood today, let me say the demands of parenting, but I guess tonight is all about talking to fathers. So I want to say the demands of fatherhood today requires that we all build ourselves up on a day-to-day basis. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot pour what you cannot give what you don't have. So the key thing which I want to also say as a second thing is, as a father, on a day-to-day basis, you have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of others. You have to ensure that on a day-to-day basis, you make it a priority. Your priority number one is to take care of yourself. Because it's when you take care of yourself, take care of your mind, body, and spirit, that will put you in the right condition to be able to take care of your children and take care of your family. It will prime you and prepare you for the challenges of the day. Every day will come with its own challenges, but it depends on how you prepare yourself and build yourself for this that will determine your ability to be able to go through it. So your mind is like a garden. You have to tend to it on a day-to-day basis. It starts with the kind of seeds you sow into it, the kind of food you eat, the kind of mental diet you feed on. These are things which you need to watch on a day-to-day basis. So priority number two for you as a father, one is guard your words, upgrade your vocabulary. It starts with what you read. It starts with the kind of programs you watch on a day-to-day basis. If you feed extensively on negativity, and I used to be in that boat. I used to start my day with watching the news, listening to all the negative things in the world. Whatever you take in is garbage in, garbage out. So to upgrade your words, you need to upgrade the kind of things you read. You need to upgrade the kind of programs you watch. You need to upgrade the kind of people you relate with. Because by default, I am a Man United fan. And by default, out of whether it's planned, subconsciously or unconsciously, my kids are all Man United fans. I play football. By default, subconsciously or unconsciously, all my kids play football and they like football and they've taken to sports. And I believe by default is essentially what they found me doing in the house that it's also imbibed as a habit. So whether if you don't want your child to drink or smoke, ensure you don't do those kind of things, negative things in their presence. So first thing is upgrade your words. Second thing I will leave is you have to fill up yourself. You can't give what you don't have. So you have to fill up yourself, prime yourself up, your body, your mind, and spirit on a day-to-day basis. And it starts with the kind of habits you have. Develop your own self-care routine. Find out your me alone time on a day-to-day basis to invest in yourself. Because when you invest in yourself, that's what will give you the strength to be able to carry through the day. The last thing I want to share before I take any questions that you may have is your mind is the most powerful tool that you have. To be a good father, to be a successful father, to be a father that will always stand, you have to invest in your mind. You nurture your mind on a day-to-day basis. You have to ensure that your mind is in a state of wellness and mindfulness on a day-to-day basis. You have to ensure that you invest in your positive mental attitude on a day-to-day basis. And how do you do this? You pray, meditate, read, guard what you do, especially in the first 30, 40 minutes of your morning. Guard what you listen to in the last 1 hour of the night. Feed your faith, feed your focus, starve your distractions, condition your environment. One little thing which I can tell you for free. I read a long time ago that how you start your morning shapes your day. As a father, start with the little things in the room. Make your bed in the morning, and you can do your own research on it. The benefits of making your bed in the morning yourself, leaving your room in a tidy state in the morning, it sort of sends a message of achievement to your mind and prepares your mind and body for achieving other things during the day. I know typically most people like to just leave their room anyhow, but read about it. Just tonight, go to Google is your friend. What's the benefit of making my bed in the morning? Just start simple habits alone. Drink water. Do some exercise in the morning. Do some mental exercise. Resist the temptation to catch up on social media in the morning. Use your morning time to nurture your mind and prepare yourself for the day. The time for upgrade is now. Like I mentioned to you, I have a 20-year-old, I have an 18-year-old. With a 20-year-old, I don't give instructions anymore. We discuss. Because I have found the habit of giving instructions does not work again. There's in a different part of the world where a lot of things are permissible. So now we discuss. With my 18-year-old boy, We're more like we're friends now. So I always enjoy time with him because it allows me to recalibrate and upgrade myself, my social skills, my new set of skills, and how to deal with them, about to learn. With my 11-year-old daughter, it's a completely different ballgame. And of course, with my sweet 4-year-old boy, that keeps the youthfulness in me going. So with each one of these, there are three things we need to do to be a successful parent today. To prepare us for today, prepare us for the future, we have to upgrade our mental diet, upgrade your daily routine, and upgrade your environment. These are the three key things I believe we need to do. At the end of the day, being a father is a privilege. Being a father is a divine responsibility. Being a father, a good one, and a present father is a sacrificial thing that we all owe to our children. And I pray to every father on the call that the Lord will grant you whatever it takes to be a good father to your children. And to the fathers to be also, they'll prepare you for the journey ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. That was so it hits really hard. Thank you. It was so direct.
Thank you.
I love those points. I especially love the first one, your vocabulary, because children by default will just pick the words you use. Children are great copiers, and you know getting to that point where we live consciously and cautiously is super important as parents. Thank you so much for that. So I
Thank
have a
you.
question for you. You just said something. You said that you are friends with your 18-year-old
Yes.
son. So how did you get to that point? There are some things that you must have done, to just get both of you on the same page and all of that. Because today it's not easy to find an 18-year-old who is
Mhm.
his dad's body. So I know that there are some things that we can learn from that. Please share with us, what have
Okay.
you been able to do to get your children to that point where they can relate with you, and they don't have to come and worship you on your throne because you are the daddy. They can just relate with you. And you said they all like to do sports now. That must be some
Mhm.
wonderful relationships. So please share with us how you've been able to get there.
Now, I think it's taking a bit of practice and learning and also observing. With my 18-year-old, and I'll tell this for free, and of course, I'm sure all the women on the call will probably say I need to be spanked. The day my 18-year-old was born, the day the mom, I was preparing for a business trip on the day his mom went into labor. And I asked the mom, okay, I have to go on this business trip or stay. And the mom says, well, you're not God, you'll go. So I didn't witness his birth. Okay. So I was making a presentation in some part of the world when I got a message on my BlackBerry that, okay, you have a son. I stopped, I announced to the audience, everybody clapped, and I continued to move on. So I was an absentee dad for a long time, up to the time that my first wife passed. So I think the tragedy of losing my first wife sort of recalibrated my approach to parenting, and that's something that drew me very close to my kids from the onset. I'm not saying you have to wait till that. So if you've not gone through that loss, it's not something I wish for anybody. It's something that I found that you can develop even if you've not gone through any sort of tragedy. With each of my children, as well as my 18-year-old son, is to find the areas of commonality, find the areas of common interest. We both like football, and I know it takes him to sports. So I always use that angle of sports. So if I go to see him in school in the UK, for instance, I take him out, we go watch a match, or we go to a sports bar, we sit down, we watch a match together, we gist, we talk. From doing something as easy as sports, then I can get into it provides an avenue for me to have serious conversations with him. So, typically as fathers, we want to be boom, 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 we want to go into serious talk, we want to be hard, you have to be a hard man, you have to be, no. What I've found is, what has worked most for me with my kids is find that area of commonality, common interest, going through that, allow them to open up, express themselves, and then you use that angle to build relationships with time. Do I always get it right? No, no, no. I've missed it a couple of times, and I'm sure I'll still miss it going forward. But one thing I've learned is for every time I miss it, I've found a way to go back and tell my children, okay, I'm sorry, let me now listen to you. And then they open up and they yield. They also know that, yes, and I tell them, okay, I'm not a superman being. I've made mistakes. I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm still going to make mistakes going forward. So at least they see that that too is vulnerable, because kids tend to think daddy is a superman being, daddy is above all, daddy can do everything. No. So I tell my kids, I can do a few things by the grace of God, but I'm also human. I can get tired at times. I can miss it. I can react. When I react to you negatively, it's out of love. When I tell you no, it's out of love. It's out of care for you. Because one thing I always tell them is this: at very best, I can pay your bills for now. I can't take responsibility for your decisions. The consequences of your decisions today, you will live with it going into the future. So my guidance to my kids always is, I'm your friend, I'm your dad today, but my advice to you, that is good, that is a bad, please pick the good, because you will live with the consequences of it going forward. So find areas of common interest with your kids. If they like to play games, please learn how to play games. I've started learning how to play Nintendo PS4. I think there's FIFA. I don't even know whether it's FIFA 22 or FIFA 21 right now. I've learned how to play that because my son likes to play his games when he's around, and also find other ways of going out. Go on a play date with your kids. When my son is around Sundays, the traditional thing is we go wash the car. That car time is boys' time. It's just myself and my son alone. So we're washing the car. We find a nice nearby restaurant. We eat. We gist. We just let our hairs down. No, no seriousness. No asking about school or anything else. So it's about finding little things that you both enjoy, and please make out time to do these things. That will be my advice.
Wow, that is so good. I mean, I love the fact that you said those times you're not particular about any form of seriousness. It's a time to let your hair down, because sometimes we find parents being too rigid. They just want to give instructions all the time. They just want to pick out what the child is not doing right. And even the time we're supposed to spend, which is supposed to be quality time with the children, we find that we are not using the time, we're not maximizing that time, because we are scolding, we are instructing, lecturing. So there's really no time to let your head down and just be yourself. And it's in those moments where, you know, there's really no serious scolding or lecture. It is in those moments that children are free enough to divulge information, talk, because they see that you're not, this is not a tense atmosphere. So this is a good time to, talk about these things. And like you said earlier, these children, they also observe us, and they will do what they see us do. They
Absolutely.
know when is a good time to talk. So if we're always uptight, if we're always serious, and even when we say, okay, it's boys' time out, but we are carrying on as if you didn't do well in this test or that, we end up stifling them. And at the end of the day, we wake up one morning and you can't even recognize the children anymore. So I love that response. Thank you so much for that. I have another question, and this is
Thank you.
about um, their extracurricular activities. So what role did you play in your children's education? Like, okay, so up until now, how have you been able? I know you're a professional, and then you also have to do your own thing. How have you been able to create that balance where you are also involved in their education, extracurricular activities, and how have you been able to help them balance this with their personal interests? Because we know that these children have their own identity as well. And for some parents, they want their children to fulfill their unfulfilled dreams. So you wanted to be a doctor, and you could not be a doctor, and you are unintentionally or intentionally manipulating the child, to toe that path. So children have their own identity, they have their own assignment. How have you been able to create that balance so that you're number one involved in their academics, their educational pursuits, and then you've also given them the liberty to also pursue their personal interests? We would like to know how you have been able to create the balance.
No, I think it goes back to what I mentioned, that you can't give what you don't have. So parenting in 2023 cannot be done the way parenting was done in 2000. Okay. So one thing I've come to discover is there's always you have to apply knowledge. You have to seek knowledge and apply new knowledge on how to parent a child in 2023 and how to deal with a teenager, on how to deal with a young child, a 4 year old, and all that. For me, it has always been learning on the job. Okay, so I've had to learn one from my experience. The fact that I was a single parent for 6 years taught me a lot of things. I had to learn how to be a dad and mom for a period of time. That gave me a different set of skills, which uh, I'm sure if I didn't have the experience, maybe I would have taken a different path. It's also about being present. I can't, what I tell my children is I cannot guarantee you quantity time. I can guarantee you quality time. So when I'm there, I'm there. And what I try to do as much as possible is to allow them express their interest. So during COVID, I all of a sudden discovered that my 11-year-old daughter was always drawing and painting, and always every idle time she will pick up a pen and she start drawing. And then myself and my wife then said, okay, this girl has an interest in fine arts. How do we encourage this? What we then did was, okay, I said we'll find an art school for her to go to. And she's been going to an art school now, virtual art school. She's never gone into class, but just by virtual lessons on site, Saturday and Sunday, at drawing today, she's gone very phenomenal with it. Okay. My first daughter has her own interest in NGOs. She likes to help people. She likes to teach people how to use the power of the mind, something which I believe she picked along the line from what she saw daddy doing over time. So she's now studying psychology. She wants to go into mental health research. She wants to have a PhD in that line. And when I listen to her talk, she's actually now one of my resource persons. When I listen to her talk today, I'm thinking, hmm,
Wow.
this girl must have been observing me in her growing up years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I also tell her, you're studying psychology. Your late mom actually studied psychology. I said, how's that possible? I said, well, I don't know. And she says, to a large extent, was an influence she got from watching and listening to me over the years. So I'll say this: it's about your children are going to be different.
Mm.
Okay. So there's always that temptation to tell my son, you're not like your dad, you're not like your sister. And he had one, I'll tell you one experience which he had, a true experience which he had. When the sister was in her final year in school, she was elected head girl in her school. And our younger brother was 2 years behind her. So when he got to final year, his teachers started putting pressure on him. You need to contest and be head boy. Your sister was head girl, blah, blah, blah. And he called me on the phone in Lagos to say,
Mm.
that I don't want to be head boy. I have
Wow.
absolutely no interest in being head boy. But these people are putting pressure on me. They're comparing me with my sister, blah, blah, blah. And let me tell you something. Me, I'm a dad, I'm a mother hen. The moment my
Mm.
son called me on the phone, I told them in the office, I'm going to school.
Wow.
And the moment which he called me was in a very distressed state. So I showed up in the school on a weekday and I went to the
Mm.
principal. Hold on. No. Yes, my daughter was head girl. Yeah, she's done her part. Nobody shall put pressure on my son to be like my daughter. Okay. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm here today. So let every child follow their own path.
Mm.
The future, and I'll say this to all the parents, future is not about you being an engineer, about being a doctor. The future is about the value you bring.
Mm.
So the future of our children, the relevance they'll have in the future is about the value they bring, the
Mm.
solutions they bring. You can bring a solution by being a chef. You can bring a solution by being an artist. You can bring a solution by being a sports person. I played football big time when I was in school. I was
Mm.
going to go to an under 16 camp. My dad came to pick me out of the camp.
Mm.
My dad was a professor, and he says, "My first son shall not be a tout."
Oh my God.
You know? But
Wow.
nowadays, my son wants to play football. I buy soccer boots.
Ooh.
I take them training camps. And what I
Mm.
tell my son is this, because my son is now in the soccer academy. Of course, that's a bit of pressure on him also. I say, well, see, I'm only providing you an opportunity. If
Mm.
God wants you to play football, you won't play it. So it's not a must. So don't be under pressure that dad wants you to succeed. That has spent
Mm.
a lot of money and all that. Which something I also want to encourage that. There's always that temptation when you get a result that you don't like from school, I'm gonna have spent a lot of money. Why is this? That's not the
Mm,
moment to criticize your child because you lose the child.
mm,
You need to draw the child in and say, well, this is an opportunity. If it's your way, you'll get it. If it's not, you won't get it. So for me, it's about finding what is good, what the areas of interest for the child, and build on it. If it's music, find a good music teacher for the child. Not everybody's going to be a doctor. And the picture, like I said, it's about the value you bring and the impact you bring and the solutions you bring to the marketplace. It's not
mm.
about status or what you think you are and all that. That would be my advice.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. Um, so I have one more question before we shut down the session, and it's about respect. So our belief system. And as African parents, oh my God, we just want to, and that's why this thing, learning has to be ongoing, because that world where you could not stand to speak back uh, at your father or question their instructions does not really exist anymore. In fact, the last speaker said something. We just don't want to. A lot of people are so keen on raising obedient children. We need to define the obedience we are talking about. Do you want to raise children who are followers? Like they'll just be following you, yes, daddy, do everything you want them to do and all of that without questioning the why behind that system or instruction or whatever it is. And that's why we have some children today who are not able to stand up for what is right, because they have been programmed to just accept things the way they are. We're not saying we want to raise disrespectful children, but we also, like what you shared about your younger son, we also want to give them the opportunity where they are able to express themselves. They can talk to you. So daddy has been greeting me this way. I also have the liberty to express myself to him that way. We want children who will be able to, okay, so let's say I have a classroom, and in my class, every morning when everybody comes, you have to stand by the wall and maybe recite a poem or something. Let's say I did that for a term, and then another set of children come into that classroom. And then because the assistant class teacher saw me doing that to the other children, I leave the class. She continues, because that's what Miss Sandra would usually do. Now, those other children coming in would repeat that same activity. Nobody knows why Miss Sandra started it. Now, it will go on and become a tradition, because nobody has cared to question that activity. And that's what happens a lot of times. We just raise children who we want to be obedient. We just want them to follow us, not to have a mind of their own and all of that. It's good to raise children who will listen to instructions, but we also need to give them the opportunity to question systems. Why do we have to do this? So now we have, those are the kind of children that we are raising today. Children who will go out there and say, okay, so why is the world like this? Why do we have to sing like this? Why do we have to do all of that? Now, if we bring it home to the typical African parents, the fathers now who love to be respected. As a professional, you are a C-suite executive. You are a professional, and you have been able to nurture a beautiful relationship with your children. Where's the place of respect? What would you say to other fathers who might not share this belief? Like they just want to be the lion of the home. That when daddy is coming, everybody is scrambling around looking for where to hide themselves, or when daddy is coming, we just have to put on a good behavior and all of that. What would you say to fathers? I mean, does this lead anywhere? Is it going to help their relationship with their children? We all love to be respected, but respect is earned, and it also goes back to your relationship. So I want you to speak to that as a professional who is able to stoop down to enter into your children's world, because we have parents seated on their throne waiting for their children to enter their world. And it doesn't happen that way. We have to go into their world to connect with them. So, what would you say about that? What would you say? As a professional, you've been able to, switch sides. What has helped you? And what would you say to fathers who still hold on to that? You must respect me, don't talk back at me, do what I say, it's either my way or the highway, and all of that. Yes.
No, I think that's a very good question. I think it stems from the need to upgrade. Most of us interpret respect from the ways our parents conjured in respect in our minds. Okay, so I grew up with a father that even when I started work, my dad would call me and say, "This is what you are doing this weekend," and I'll have to tell him that, "Dad, hold on now. I have my own plan." I say, "No, no, 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 no. You do my own things, A, B, C, D, and when I tell you to do it, you do it." Okay, and what you find is we have to unlearn the habits of our parents. We're all the products of our growing up. We're all the products of our environment. We all, whether we like consciously or unconsciously. If you're a man, consciously or unconsciously, you have picked the habits of your dad growing up, or maybe your uncle or your teacher or someone you look up to as an authority figure. If you're a mom, same thing. So the key thing is this: we have to unlearn. I don't want to call it bad habits of our parents because they didn't know they knew what they knew, and what they knew was good for the 70s and the early
Yeah.
80s. Okay. So what you see is my mom, God bless her dad, will come to the house and say, "My 11-year-old is moody and rude." I say, "No, she's just being herself." The same way as she's moody, she's been rude, she's not talking to me. I say, "Oh, just approach it differently. Call her in." You shout at her, she just withdraws and say, "Grandma has come with her trouble." I've had a situation where my kids will tell grandma, "You need to come and go. This is my dad's house. Just come and go to him." And my mom will come and say, "My kid said that to her." She's not saying, "No, no, no, mommy, you approach it differently. They love you, but they just don't like your approach. You use something that you squeeze my hairs. Don't do that to this one." So when they see you, they'll say, "No, we don't want grandma to come to our house." It doesn't hate her, but it's just a different approach. So for us as fathers, and I'm work in progress when it comes to this. I'm not perfect at it yet. So I'm learning, like I said, I'm learning by the day. And as my kids are graduating into different sphere of life, so now I have a 20-year-old, and I'll give you an example. So I go to the American embassy with my 20-year-old, and we get to the gate, and they tell me at the gate that you can't go in with her. This was when she turned 18. I said, "What do you mean by that? I'm the dad." He said, "No, she's an adult." This is American embassy in Abuja. In Nigeria, 18-year-old, you're still my daughter. At the
Yeah.
gate, it was a reality check for me when they said,
Wow.
"You can't go in with her. She can speak for herself." So I'm outside praying. I hope she makes it. She can make a good case together. Visa. Thank God she went in 10 minutes after she came back. So I had to explain myself and give me my visa. But it was a reality check for me at the door that she's now 18. At 18, in a different part of the world, where my daughter is now, when she turned 18, the schools stopped sending the results to me.
Wow.
Because they say by 18, she has a right to keep her results away from her. And I'm thinking, Nigeria, we can't take this. So what do you mean? I have to recalibrate. I go to see her in school. If she says she doesn't want to see me, I can't force it. Okay. So it's about learning and unlearning. We have to unlearn and know that this is 2023. The other thing is we're sending our school children to learn the ways of asking questions. So the kind of school system they're going to right now is actually teaching them to be inquisitive. They're teaching them to question the norms. They're teaching them to challenge what we think are set ways of doing things. The world and the future they're going to function in will require that part of them is fully developed. We have to be careful as parents that trying to be daddy today, you do not put your children in a disadvantaged position for the future. So what my advice to all daddies, including myself, is we have to allow the youthfulness in our children to blossom. We have to allow the inquisitive nature of our children to come alive. We have to allow that innate habit that they have to come alive. There's a thin line between what we call respect and disrespect. Your child is moody, is having a bad time. Say, this child is rude. It's frowning in our face. call the child. Ask 5 why questions. It's probably going to tell you, and you can bring a smile back on the face of the child. The other thing is this: if you're a dad, you've had a bad day at work, we're always under pressure. Both parents nowadays are always under pressure. Find a way to vent your pressure before you get. Because what I find is if I've gone through a very hard time, my tolerance level is very low. So there are things that my kids will do and get away with it. I'll just flare up. And the last thing you want to do is flare up on your kids. They'll just shrink and withdraw. And once you lose your child, growing up, we didn't have things to run to. If you want to watch TV, you probably get NTA and whatever. There's more than enough things they can escape to. The moment you escape to the phone, you're done. So I also think in the process of trying to instill discipline, respect, and the likes, you don't want to lose your child to other things. You don't want your child to stay away. So we have to create an atmosphere, a balance between you scold and you allow. One thing which I quickly don't want, my approach to this, if I get a result from the school, for instance, my emphasis is not on whether you got an A, B, C, D, E. Of course, I like the A's. It's about, I look at the character. What have they told you about your character, your behavior, integrity, and all those things? Because those are the attributes that will stand the test of time. The assessment of ABC is just a spot assessment of someone's view of you. But the assessment of the behavior will shape the thinking of the child, will shape the confidence level of the child. So for me, it's as parents, we have to unlearn the habits of our parents. The approach in which we're all brought up will not work for today. We have to ensure a balance between overcompensating, because I'm guilty of, at times, I overcompensated for the things I lacked when I was younger. But the main thing is to know that get close to our children, build a relationship with them, allow them to see us build our physical, spiritual, emotional bits, allow them pick habits from us that they themselves can become useful to their society in the future. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. This has been so enlightening. Okay, so one question came up.
Thank you.
And it's about
Right.
settling, conflicts. Uh, and the person said, "How do you have different, ages of children? How do you settle conflicts with them?" So I guess the person is talking about, your personal encounters with them. So of course, it's not going to be all rosy all the time.
No.
So how, when you get into those conflicts, you have a 20-year-old, you have an 18-year-old, even the 11-year-old, how are you able to navigate so
I
that
think I'll use the example of my daughters. So my 20-year-old is in a different sphere of life now. And my 11-year-old, they get on each other's nerves. And when they quarrel, they quarrel. The 11-year-old does not want to listen to the sister. Sister tells her to do stuff, say, you can't tell me what to do. He says, it gives her instruction to do A, B, C, D. Stuff. No, you can't tell me what to do. She won't say it to my face. When daddy is there, she'll say, yeah, I'll listen. But when I turn my back, I say, you can't tell me what to do. I'm not doing it. And when they come to report to me, the first approach of the 20-year-old is that, well, she's not listening to me. I'll leave her. I said, then I'll call her. I said, hold on. You are once an 11-year-old. When the child grows from being a 9-year-old to 10-year-old, when she starts to, when she starts to get to the age of puberty and she starts to become early things of a woman, but she starts to feel, that change in hormonal, starts to feel like I'm a bit independent. And that's what she's going through. You did the same. I was there when you were 11. You do the same thing. So I'm not saying tolerate her, but you can't turn your back on your sister because there's only one person she's looking up to. There's only one person that can set the standard for her to follow is you. So she will say, I'm not listening to you, but she's listening to you. Because what you find is her fashion habits, she starts to want to look like her sister. She starts to want to wear the same thing like her sister. But she's saying, I'm not listening to you, and they quarrel. But indirectly, she still listens to the sister. So my own approach is this. When I have to draw the line, I draw the line. Okay? You can't talk to your sister. She's older than you. She has more experience than you. but at the same time, there is always something good to learn from each other. They will quarrel. I quarrel with I had three siblings. We fought plenty, plenty. It's just our own kind of fight. It's different. At least they have toys. I didn't have toys. They fly over, okay, who's going to watch DSTV? Who's going to watch Netflix? Kind of things they fight over. I tell them, you guys are enjoying a different life. Okay? Fight over things that don't necessarily make sense, but it's part of growing up. The thing is to teach them how to learn to always remember one thing. There's a bond that joins you together. You're siblings. Siblings don't quit on each other. Siblings stay together no matter what. I will come, I will go. You guys have to stay together as one and build together.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. That was so good, and I believe that everyone who's going to watch the replay would also have lots of takeaways because I have put down a lot of things. One of the things that has also stood out for me is that we will have to unlearn the habits of our parents. So for anyone who is watching this, it's not a crime to carry some of the things that we brought in from how we were parented, but it's our duty to reparent ourselves. It's our duty to unlearn those things that are not empowering in any way. There's no point continuing in that cycle because you will not get the results that you desire. I'm so glad that we have heard this from, someone who is not just a father, but a professional who has been able to, switch from his capacity as a professional and as a dad. He has been able to, switch back and forth, and he has done it effortlessly, even though it comes with its responsibilities and all of that. But so far, so good. It's been a beautiful relationship with his children. Thank you so much, sir. So many things stood out for me just for time. And, your mind, yes, if you know Mr. Dapo, you know that you're going to hear something about the mind. And I was so excited when he said his daughter, is also doing something in that line as well, because the mind is indeed the most powerful tool you have. I mean, everything you do stems from there. And you also said something about not embracing negativity. It's actually a vibe. When you just decide to focus on negativity, it affects everything around you. And it just brings this negative vibe that would even translate into your parenting journey as well. So thank you so much, sir. It's been very wonderful listening to you share with us. Thank you for always. And to our wonderful audience, thank you for staying with us. So I want you to just give us a final word, to the fathers. Yeah, fathers, you're doing amazing. Thank you for your support. And we appreciate you all. So, Mr. Dapo, please give us your final words to the fathers.
Now, the thing is, as a father, from a father to my fellow constituents, father, first of all, I want to say thank you for being a father. I want to thank God for your lives. But I also want to say this, every time I go home, when I open the door and I see the kids, my children, the ones at home now run towards me, everybody's looking for attention. Hello, daddy, blah, blah, blah. It makes it worth it, worth the while. So that moment when I walk into the door, I feel very much at ease that, okay, I've gone through some battering during the day. I've had to take a lot of risk because we take a lot of risk. I take financial risk. I take business risk. I take risk on the job. The moment I walk in and I see my kids run and everybody just I get 5-10 minutes in the evening before they go to bed, it just makes everything feel okay. Thank you, God. It was worth it. It gives you enough energy to say you want to keep yourself going. We need to build ourselves up. Okay? You have to build yourself up for the day of battle. Because it will come. Okay? It will come. It will come in different shapes and forms. But first thing is build your mental strength, build your mental resilience, build it every day. Okay, not necessarily because you are looking forward to battle, but just prepare yourself. Because I tell you one thing, when my kids get on the phone and they talk to me, they just tell you what they need. And in
Mm.
their view, that they can solve anything. Okay.
Mm.
Believe daddy is superwoman, he can solve
Mm.
anything. When I get off the phone, at times I look up to God and say, God, I need your help. You need to help me.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Because every time you have to get it right, every time you have to say the right things to your kids, every time you
Mm.
have to advise them right, every time, even when you know and when you don't know. So prepare yourself, continue to learn, feed yourself. Above all, please, self-care is not selfish. Eh?
Mm.
Take nothing from me today. Self-care is absolutely not selfish. Make out time. If it's 5 minutes a day, take care of yourself. If it's one day in a week, shut down and find a me alone time, take care of yourself so that you don't burn out. Because we need strength. We need strength for the journey. And the journey is long. Nowadays, maybe when I was 20, my dad started saying, okay, you're on your own now. Nowadays, we need to go very far with our
Mm.
kids. Even when they graduate, they get married. Parenting, it's a lifetime work that you don't retire from. So you
Yeah.
need strength. So build yourself physically, become physically fit, spiritually fit, emotionally fit, and above all, of course, financially fit. God bless and keep you all. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you
Thank you.
for sharing from your wealth of knowledge. We really appreciate you. And the Winning in Parenting family says a big thank you for
Thank you.
always. We appreciate you. Bye for now, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Wow, that was so good. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Uh, wow, this has been so worth it. I mean, I'm so glad that we did this, and I'm super excited because, like it or not, impact has been made. It's a different thing when a woman is speaking to fathers, and it's another ball game when fathers who have walked this journey, fathers who are walking the talk, not just fathers who gave birth to children, but people who have been able to nurture beautiful relationships with their children, from different, age groups. And that is one of the things that this program has been able to, create awareness about. I mean, on the first day, which was yesterday, we talked to Mr. Amore, who has teenagers who are thriving. And then we talked with Mr. Akinroko yesterday, who shared about the GPS and the compass of, fatherhood. It was so good. And then today we have had Mr. Deji Showme and Mr. Oladapo. Wow. Please, I want you to ensure that you go these sessions again. You will definitely find things that you need to hold on dearly to, because raising children is not something that you are supposed to do with a go with the flow style. It's something you do intentionally, like Mr. Dapo said. You don't wait till situations arise. You just need to upskill. You just need to get yourself prepared so that you are ready for the task, for the assignment that you have been called into. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate all the fathers out there who are supportive, all the fathers out there who have decided to do this work of parenting intentionally. I want you to know that you are doing a great work, and that your impact in your children's lives will not be forgotten. I mean, like Mr. Dapo said, when he sees his children, everything just makes sense. Aside the sacrifices financially, physically, and every other thing that has to be done for everyone to be fine, it just makes it worthwhile. When you see the children, you see that, oh, something good is going on. And that's the same thing that I want to also say to the fathers listening to me right now. You are doing an amazing job, and my prayer is that your labor of love over your children will not be in vain. And it's also my prayer that you will continue to be strengthened, that the Lord Himself will continue to uphold you and, release grace. Because after learning, you need grace, because there are times when you know the right thing to do, but you don't have the willpower. Sometimes you are tired. You know that this is what you want to do, but it's not happening. And so you need grace. You need grace to strengthen you for the race, to strengthen you for this assignment. And I mean, this is not a walk in the park. Even the enemy understands the impact fathers should leave on the lives of their children. And so there's so much distraction now, such that children are being left alone. I mean, there are so many absentee fathers, children are just left to find their path themselves. So I really want to celebrate every father who's here on this call and on our other platforms. And for everyone who might not even be here, but doing this work of parenting intentionally, you will not lose your reward in Jesus' name. Thank you so much. And to all the mothers who are on here, well done, well done, well done for being so amazing. And it's my prayer that we will take all the gems that we have gotten from this 2-day event and put them to good use, such that they will translate into how we raise our children positively. Thank you so much. My name is Sandra Oluwadare, and I am the founder of Winning in Parenting. Winning in Parenting is a place where we, raise parents who can raise wholesome and well-balanced children. We also have the Raising Outstanding Children Academy, where we equip and empower children to thrive in life through skills and other resources. I mean, we have the academics, which is amazing, and the schools are doing good, but there are certain things that children need to know in order for them to be well grounded and rooted. There are so many things contesting for the attention of our children now, and we need to intentionally plant their feet on a firm foundation. And that's what the Raising Outstanding Children Academy does. We have programs like Equipped to Thrive, where we are empowering children with the skills they need to navigate through life. You're not going to be with your child every waking moment of the day. They are going to go out there, they will find their path. But how are you preparing them for that day? How are you preparing them to navigate through life? What compass are you handing to them that can direct them in life? And that is the gap we are bridging in the academy. We are collaborating with you, the parents, to see that these children get empowered in this area. They need to have balanced learning experiences. It's not about literacy or numeracy alone. They need to know how to negotiate. They need to know how to manage their emotions. They need to know how to relate socially. They need to have social, emotional skills. And these are the things that we also do in the academy. And we also have the Children Bible School, where we're able to strengthen the faith of the children such that they know the right thing to do. They're not just having a relationship with God because of you, but they have their own personal encounters with God. Thank you so much once again for spending time with us this past 2 days. And so I'm going to shut down the session now. Please share the video if you also have questions. If you want to be part of the Fab Parent Club, which is our parenting academy, it's a place where we teach you the framework you need to raise wholesome and well-balanced children. All you need to do is send a chat or call the number on the screen, and or you can just place a comment somewhere around this video and you will get a response. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.